all right, party people in the place to be, vandals and everybody else. This is a brand new episode of How Did We Get Here? And man, this is an exciting one. This is a special one. It's pretty damn groovy, man. Richard, I'm not going to steal your thunder, man, but like, what is this episode about, dude?
Well, I mean, we finally finished Blam And Glam season one, so that was the eighth issue, and that was a couple of months ago. Now we're in the middle of the campaign for a collected edition, like a deluxe of the trade, and I'm so excited. Exactly, we got two versions. People can buy at the same time,
Ooh.
either or, and there's going to be all sorts of bonus goodies in there. The deluxe will have even more in it. But just to have it all together in one book is just gonna blow my mind.
One's a soft cover and the other's a hard cover. Which one is the soft? Which one is the hard? To let people know.
So the hard is the one on the left. It's the one with probably my favorite cover so far.
Yes.
This one.
Yes.
This is
I love that cover.
Because the other one was the trade paperback. This is an A2 painting that had been sitting on the easel for a while, and this finally shipped over to the buyer in Germany who bought it in the last Kickstarter. And I said I was going to do, it was a special cover like art. I didn't know what I was going to do. It could have been issue 9 or it could have been the trade, and I decided to go with the trade. So that, that's the paperback.
I think we actually used this as a thumbnail at one point too. I believe that was one of the episode's thumbnails that we
Yeah, at one point there's a digital version of that, and the guy who bought it, he loved the digital one as well. So I gave him a print. That was a rough, just so I knew what I'd be doing when I come to painting it. And I just sent him a print of that as well. So he's got both. But yeah, it's the hardback. I'm looking forward to getting that in my hands. And the paperback. I actually prefer reading paperbacks because it's just easier. But the hardback, I think, will just make it like special. It's a larger format, and we're going to blow up that art a bit more so you can see a bit more of detail. So I'm quite pleased about that.
So the hardcover, is it going to have a dust cover, or is it going to be print? Is it going to be okay? It's just going to be.
Yeah, I thought about the dust cover, and I'm not a fan.
No, I'm right there with you. Because of my cats, I always have to take it off and hide it someplace goofy up high. And then, I have to even worry about them getting up there to still get it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, dust covers are...
And it's just added cost, too, right? It must add to the price of the book.
Yeah, I mean, if it's something you could do really special, like with the printers I use, if there was something I could have done really special with it, then I'd have considered it. But, we'd done a video on this a couple of months, half a year ago, 9 months ago, on Carly, and that format is just amazing, and it didn't need a dust jacket.
No.
So it's gonna be a similar sort of format to this. It's just slightly smaller, like fractionally smaller than the Carly, but yeah, it's gonna hopefully be as deep and as as weighty as that. It'll be quite cool.
8 issues plus bonus material. Yeah, I think it's going to come out. It's going to be almost 200 pages or 200 and something pages.
It's way more. Like you said, it's 240 pages plus.
Okay.
And it's 8 issues. More.
Yeah, but it was 8 issues. Well, 7 issues that were 24 pages. And then the last one had 36 pages. So I don't know, that takes us to 230 something. So I'm making it up. I'm probably not very good on numbers on that. But then there's cover gallery in the trade. We'll have the standard cover gallery, but we're going to do it as virgin covers, so there'll be no logos and stuff on there. And also, because when we create the art, we have bleed on it. You'll see the bleed because we're going to slightly insert it within the page, so you can see the full art before you put your mastheads and stuff on. Exactly, just like this. We do that. The standard covers are in the trade. The standard and the reds are in the deluxe version. So that way you get both sets in there. I'm not going to show the yellows or the pinks because they were really about buying specific issues. So and I don't want to do a disservice to the artists on those. That was clear. If you want those, we have those as comics to buy. But yeah, so you get the gallery in both. There's going to be a behind the scenes making of, talks about the process, how I do my art, how Blam And Glam changed, from when it started. And I've got stuff open in the background where I'm right up to the call, up to the show, laying out pages and making things happen. So we're going to do a test print soon. I'm excited to get a test print in my hand to see how it feels. Yeah.
So people know the drill. They know how this works. We've done it a few times. Richard's been on a few times as well. I think you're the creator we've had on the most. So you hold you hold the crown. I mean, aside from Adrian, who comes on as a regular panelist, but I think after Adrian, I think it's you. So.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah.
So, like Joe's saying, we got the link in the description, and I just now posted it in the chat. So,
yes,
if you guys want to get in on this trade paperback and hardcover, if you have not yet, I say yet because man, this thing is it's doing gangbusters, man.
There's 25 days left, so. But don't be like, oh, I have plenty of time, because you know how that works. You'd be like, oh, I have plenty of time, then you forget, and by the time you think of it again, you go on there and the campaign's done and you miss out. So don't wait, go hit that back button. And you got a bunch of options there. Like we said, you have the soft cover, the hard cover. You have a bunch of t-shirts, as always. You have a bunch of add-ons that people can, fill up their shopping carts with all kinds of goodies if they want.
Here's all different covers too. Like he was talking about the pinks and the yellows. These are all available through add-ons and stuff through the campaign.
Yeah, no, totally. They're all add-ons. The good thing is that we'll have a lot of people who have backed the comics and may not be interested in a collected edition, but they might like some of the art from the covers. So we've offered those up as A3 Giclée prints, which are those beautiful prints. It's like you painted it on the paper. I love that. I love how they look. We got those as well if people want them, which is quite cool.
You know what would be cool?
Go on.
Because you're gonna have two editions, right? Two books. You're gonna have book 1 and book 2. Then once both books are done, I should do a campaign where you got the two hardcovers, do a super Blam And Glam deluxe supreme, whatever you want to call it, here where you make a prototype of the gun with the two hardcovers and just a super fan bundle where you only make one of those and you and they can get that, and that would be fucking awesome.
Do you know what I'd love to do? A Blam. You could, a mock-up. People could buy it. Can you imagine that as a collectible?
Yeah.
I've no idea how you go around that. Just try and get my head around the figures was one thing, but that could be good, especially if it lights up.
And Fox, you pull the trigger, goes blam, blam.
I think you'd have to do it so it triggers. So when you talk to it, it just goes blam blam. But I don't know what the voice is. The way it needs to be so mechanical.
Do a Knight Rider voice,
Yeah, like it.
I thought it sounded
you can even put a little light on the side that goes back and forth like the Knight Rider car,
Well, because when it talks, the way there was two versions of Knight Rider, there was the lines and then there was the square.
Yeah. And
I think it's the square, because you always see this red panel on the side of Blam, and I think it sort of fades in and out as it's talking. But yeah, can you imagine if you get a nice bit of tech for there? Because the whole thing, I know most people on this have probably read it all. Blam doesn't talk English. Blam just says blam blam. But Blam has this rapport with Glam. God, it's such a weird set of names. Has this rapport with Glam where she knows exactly how to make him function. He's basically a malfunctioning gun. He should be fully talkable, automated. And you say to him, "I want grenades," and he does the grenades. None of that works. He's one off the production line, and he's a wrong'un. That's what I love about it. But she has a way of making noises, and he knows what the mode is. So she'll go, and he'll go, "Grenades activated." And that's the first time you hear him say something else. And so I quite like that sort of aspect to it. But we're 8 issues in. It's funny because going back through the pages, I should really be reading it more often. especially because I'm writing 9 to 16 now. I'm writing season 2. And I've always said all along, there's so much at the end that's set up near the beginning, around issue 1, 2, 3. And it's funny because when you look at issue 2, that's the first time we started putting people in the comic and offering it as a reward. And one person went into the missing persons panel. And I painted in some friends and some other people that are in there. But there's also a cheeky reference to issue 8 in that panel for people who are looking, and I think that's something they should go back, because I try and say, I plant all this stuff in the beginning. So things, turn up, because you've read it. The end of 8 is, it was that way you thought we were going with Glam. And it's where does she go from here? But that stuff was seeded from the get-go. So
yeah, it's like the awakening, right? That's where kind of all the 8 issues out. This is the collected edition. Like we said, we'll warn people. There's going to probably be some spoilers. So if you're watching this and you've never read Blam and Glam, but you're plan on backing the collected edition to read it for the first time, well, fair warning, we're going to be getting into spoilers probably coming up soon. So if you don't want it ruined, maybe bookmark it and come back later on after you've read it, maybe, or because we don't know when we're going to drop any spoilers. Well, it'll just come out organically as we're speaking, but just to give everyone a warning, there will be spoilers in this episode.
But before we get to the book proper, I kind of want to know, did you have expectations? Like, are you where you kind of thought you'd be with the book, or are you ahead of there?
I'm way ahead of what I thought might happen.
Really?
I had no idea how it worked out, because the first one was the sketchbook. The first one was, I'd been drawing Blam and Glam for a while, the characters, and I thought my first Kickstarter, I'll put a sketchbook out. And this was 2019, I think it was, before the story got finalized, before I knew what I was actually doing, and there's different, art styles and character things going on in the book. There's different bits.
Yeah. And
I remember
sketchbook, it makes me really want to see Blam and Glam in pencils, man. Like, I would love to have maybe a dream issue or something where Glam's asleep and it's all in pencils or something. That would be cool.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm gonna try some more media pieces like that. I think and actually, I'll come back to that because there's an interesting thing we're gonna do with the collectors. But yeah, I didn't know we'd get here, because the first Kickstarter was 50 people backed it, and my mind was blown because I could buy from the proceeds buy a new iPad Pro to start working on, which was quite cool. I can hear something.
Yeah. There's sirens outside. Whenever there's sirens, my dog always howls. So there's a cop car going by, and you can hear the sirens. Sometimes he'll start. We don't hear it yet, but he's got, animals have better ears. Yeah. He'll start howling, so we're like, there must be an ambulance or a cop coming. And sure enough, they come zipping through town. Anyway, I'll pause. I'll mute myself till he's
No, it's cool. No, I know what it is now, so that's cool. I'm thinking there's something coming because I got the window open or something. But yeah, it's the first issue I think was about 100 people.
Yeah,
and then each time it just builds and builds, and we're around sort of 400 people, and 350, 400 people an issue, which is just mad, Especially that on the last Kickstarter, people were buying 8 issues, which it was quite a hefty package to send through. But yeah, it's going to be a heavy package.
Yeah,
but I didn't think you hope it will do well. I just didn't. I just didn't know it would do this well. And so I'm absolutely blown away by everyone who's backing it. And even just people, not necessarily they have to financially back it. They're sharing it, supporting it, and saying what they like. It's just brilliant.
I got on board with issue 2 So I've been not since the beginning, but like I'd say I'm still kind of an early fan to it, and I'm impressed by like how quick you've had each issue out, and the drive you have, man. It's incredible because like you also work, you know what I mean, and you make video games, and you know you're a Renaissance man of sorts. So it's incredible that you got this whole collected version out now. You know what I mean? Not just all eight,
Yeah.
but like boom, there it is, dude. Like that is sexy too. God damn.
You know, it's funny because the visuals they're like pre-visuals to give you a sense of it. I always like working on visuals to make sure it feels like the thing you're going to get. But I'm measuring up because I think the deluxe has about 280 pages at the moment, and it does depend on if we hit stretch goals, if more go in, and that's something I'll touch on in a sec. But the spine I think looks really cool, and the spine was actually a suggestion from somebody who saw a previous version of the mock-up where it was just red and there was text and the logo wasn't on there, and they said, "Oh, I'd really love to see, you know, her on the spine." And I thought that would make when it sits on the shelf look really cool. So I quickly changed it and sent it and said, "What do you think?" And they said, "Yeah, that's the one." It's actually going to be a bit thinner than that visual shows.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get the trade off at the moment. But the more pages you put in, the thicker
Easier.
it gets.
Yeah.
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 But then you have to, you know, it costs more. But yeah, but you know, what's interesting is we've unlocked the first 4 pages already, which is there's going to be a side story, and we you know on the show we talked about it, and you guys said you'd like to see an inked thing, and on Monday or Tuesday, I think it'll be Tuesday, because I've got A3 pages coming from the printer that have all the details around it and blue lines and stuff, and then I'm going to draw the first 4 pages of the story we're going to do, which is a spin-off story. It's connected to it, but you don't need to read it to know what's happening between 1 to 8 and 9 to 16. I think it's a nice piece of content that can expand a moment in the series. But I'm going to draw those as traditional ink. I'm actually not going to do it as digital ink. I'm going to do it on the boards. And we've unlocked first 4 pages. And then, you know, if we hit the next goal, we'll unlock another 4, and then there's another goal we unlock. So hopefully we'll get to 12 pages, which means there'll be 12 pages of physical art that people could buy afterwards as well. But that story inserts itself quite nicely into a moment in 8. And it enables us to play off different moments with the characters as a big event happens in 8. And I was thinking about what I could do, and then I realized, I think I was out walking the dog, and I realized I know exactly what it's going to be. So yeah, the more we hit those stretch goals, the more pages there'll be, and that story will be there to expand it. So that'll be in both editions.
Okay.
You know, which gives a you know, an extra nice touch, hopefully, to everything.
Cool. Right. Hell yeah. So now that the whole thing's out, and like you don't have to kind of worry about, I mean, you still got to worry about people reading it, but like, you know, a lot of people have. What is Blam and Glam actually about, Richard? Now that like you're kind of unburdened to be able to like talk about it, like what is it about, and like what does it mean to you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's still rooted in the things we talked about before. It's still an alternative pandemic. So instead of it being the pandemic that happened in 2020, it's a pandemonic. It's this invasion. But really what it's about is the story of this woman. At first, we just think she's normal and she's got no memory. But we learn throughout the whole thing that she's got access to something she never had before. And weird things start to happen to her in terms of power she's got, and you know, there's no way somebody normal can be running around in high heels kicking robots' ass in the way we do in the comic, and then making things like clothes grow. So it's always been peppered with these clues about who she is, and really she's 2 people, and that's clear by the end.
Right.
You know, yeah, it depends on how people understand it yet, but there's a dual aspect to her. And I don't mean that, because we've seen there's different states of glam. We see her mainly with a plus sign, which is her emotional side. When she's positive, she's one way. When she's negative, she's another. And these are all clues about the other side of her. And I don't mean the white hair glam and the dark haired glam. I mean, that's like a physical appearance of how her emotions are. But there's a reason why those emotions are so crazy, and that's revealed in the last page. Should we say it? I don't know. Do we?
I don't know, man. Like that is all up to you, man. I'm not gonna shoot that wad for you. You know what I mean?
I mean, that one, I think actually I prefer people to read it up to that point, and then you start to realize there's a whole other dimension to her. And it's barely touched on, but it starts to make sense of the things you've read. There's all different things where she can control the elements and she can control certain things. And you go, so who can do that, or what can do that? But it's grounded in this human that doesn't know. And actually, when you go back and you look at the story, and I always say the first 3 pages are out of sequence. Right, we tell it, and they are patterns. Even the first issue is out of sequence, right? But when you read the first issue, you think it flows, right? But the reality is, go on.
Yeah, you'd mentioned that on previous episodes that, like the first, like you said,
no, don't say it.
When you read later, you come back and then you can kind of see the the proper chronological, I guess you would say, sequence behind it.
But I'm gonna set a competition, I think, next month to see who can come back with the correct order to me. No, don't say we're not gonna say exactly what it is, right? I think you're right.
But for anybody listening, that beautiful last page of issue 8 that Richard was talking about, I'm actually in it, so I'm on that.
You're on so many pages.
You're in a few, that's it. Starting in issue what? 6? 5, 6?
5. No, 5, I think.
5, yeah.
Yeah, he's in. You're in a flashback in 5. When I say flashback, like an out of sequence time thing, because you're in that. But Johnny, did you think that's what your character would be when you got to 8? And I know we're not spoiling it, but did you think that's who you'd end up being?
No,
but it's really cool. I mean, like I rock an eye patch, man. That's all I'm saying.
I want to get those made because that'd be quite cool. We send those out.
Yeah, straight up looking like a Fist of the North Star villain and shit, man.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, your wheels in the car. I am a massive fan of the original Mad Max. The V8 Interceptor is just the car. I don't care that the supercharger on top is just complete and utterly fake and just visual. I love it. That thing in 2 is just brilliant. And you're driving a car like that. There's like a reverse view, and that is definitely a V8 Interceptor type of look. Except there's a gun turret on top, which I think is quite cool for a muscle car.
And you got me mood lit so cool in that issue, dude, with like all the red and pink backgrounds, like Italian giallo looking, man, just saturated in beautiful color. Like, oh man, I look cooler than I ever have in real life.
or even like the cars in Death Race too. They're all souped out. Kind of like that as well. It's kind of cool, yeah.
It's like I think. This will never be big, but if it ever got to a point where somebody cosplays stuff, if somebody cosplays as a Skull Ray, with fucking big pads and metal things pointed out, an eye patch and stuff, Johnny, if somebody was to cosplay as you,
I'm thinking of adding that T-shirt onto my my order. I love that T-shirt. I love it. Yeah, the top right there. That's awesome.
Do you know what's funny? Keep this up. Sorry, go back to that a second. So, so you've got A, C, and D, which is the the illustration that's been used on the deluxe, and I've got to see if I can find it, because I did something completely by accident when I was making one of those versions. I think it was D, and I'm just going to see if it's on my phone, because I'm sure I shared it with someone and said, should I make this? Oh, here we go. And what's really mad is that's a metal t-shirt. Honestly, I don't know if I offer that up as a one-off.
That's pretty funny.
No idea. I was like, it just I pasted in the image and I'd masked a certain area, and it just went, hang on a minute, mask it properly, you know.
Yeah, but, that'd be hilarious. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know if I would order it, but I know someone who likes some stuff. Someone would definitely pick it up.
I could see Goose rocking it, dude. Goose would look good with some glam boots, man.
Or someone that has, they have those casual Fridays at the office. Slap that t-shirt on for the office,
Do you know what it needs, though? The plus needs to be glow in the dark. So that if you're walking around the plus symbol, proper neon or something, I don't know, But yeah, so there's that. But I mean, there's so much in it. I know what I'm going to do with season 2. I've got to now really think of all the layering. Right, I know what the end piece is. I know how there's side things that are happening. And I know what I want to do with one character in particular, Benny. Because when you get to, and we can't speak to him, but you get to the end of 8 and Benny's in, how's Benny going to be feeling? And, I know where that arc can go, and that could be quite cool. There's a number of things on that.
Yeah. And, so we're running this Kickstarter, and you've already been working on issue 9, right? For the first chapter of the next arc as well. Yeah. How far along are you on that one?
Oh, no. I'm still writing that in my head. So, yeah. So I've still got I've got a ways to do. I mean, that will kickstart in August, probably, sort of time.
Oh, so you're gonna take a bit of a break this time, because you've been hammering these Kickstarters, especially the last 3, I think. Within a month of the other one finishing, bam, you're launching your next one. You've been like,
I mean, it's
on quite a tear.
Because like each issue was 24 pages, apart from the last one, which is 36, and I managed to find a way to do the art quicker in the latest one. And it's not. It didn't. I think the art was the best of all the issues so far in 8. And I managed to find a way to make it happen quicker, the way I was drawing it. Because originally I was doing sort of like line art and then going in and blocking and stuff. And this time I just laid down tones and shapes and just started painting, and it just sped up the process. And I'm surprised I managed to get 36 pages out in that turnaround.
And the production, like the draft PDFs you sent me to read, oh man, I love looking at your art in its rudimentary form too, dude. Like it's gorgeous, you know what I mean? Like with just the forms and shapes, like I really like being able to look behind the curtain and see those things when you send them to me.
I'll show. I've got the working file open for the deluxe, and if I share screen, if I present, I'll show you 2 pages so you can see some of the stages that they go through. And these are going to be in the book like this. If I just hit, is it the present button?
Yeah, present, and it should say share screen and ask you which.
And
then.
Oh, hang on.
Just make sure you don't.
Entire screen.
Just make sure you don't have anything naughty on your screen before you share it.
Actually, here we go. I can share. Can you see this? Okay. I'll just check. Can you see the pages? Enough. So here you've got on the left. I mean, there's amazing people out there who write. I'm lucky enough that I just have to write a sentence per panel, really, apart from dialogue, and I can start working from it. So you can see it, okay, can't you? You can see how loose my writing is. And what's interesting is I'll block it out like this in terms of breaking down the beats. But even when I start drawing, I might have more or less panels. But you can see here, it's really, really rough pencil sketches. It's not even like proper traditional inking, you know, like proper stuff that people work on. It's basically just working out the basic frames. And then I start to drop in tones and make it happen. And then often I'll change my mind and redraw something, you know, and rework it until you end up with here. You know, what's funny in this panel is she's got, I think in the couple of these pages, you don't see Blam, which is the gun, you know, and I realized when I'd written it, I'd missed the point where she no longer had Blam in her hand, and I needed to work it back in. It's quite good because you realize, yeah, I got to solve that plot point. And so she would find it on the floor. So I didn't even plan for that, you know, and then carry on working. But, you know, there's another page. There's another set. And again, you can see the same thing. It's the beats here, the rough layouts, and then I start blocking in the tones and getting the details right. So, you know, it lets people see the process. You know, I've done the same thing with the art of the cover. You know, this page isn't final yet, but you can see right at the beginning, you know, super rough sketch, start dropping in basic tones, start to shape it. You know, you start to get the look of her. But I think this was quite interesting. I realized halfway through doing that first issue that, and I put here second guessing myself, I didn't know if I was doing too much with a cover to be like this. So I originally tried to repaint it and put the hand in. And it's the first time I had said to the audience, I'm thinking of changing the cover to be more like this. And they went, no, go with the original vision. And, you know, sometimes it can be hard listening to outside things, but I think when it helps you with where you wanted to go, I think it's a good thing. But yeah, I don't know how I get out of this now.
Yeah, it's like I totally I can drop it if you but I always wondered, I love the design for the 6 eyes, man. And how did you kind of come up with that? Like, what was the development process on those little guys, man? Because they're so neat.
So the 6 eyes was I wanted, because like with us, humans are hunters. We're 2 eyes, and we look forwards. You know, like when you're prey, you have eyes on the side. 6 eyes were always, they don't see things the way we do. So it's a demon, it's an alien life form. It needs to have a different way of seeing things. And the idea with a 6 eye is that all 6 eyes see things completely differently. So it's a bit like a fly can see lots of stuff, but this time they can see different wavelengths. But the problem is some things they can't see. And that's why in some of the early pages, they see her and they can't work out why they can't see her. And that's to do with the outfit she's wearing. It's almost like that sort of latex material is like a camouflage. It's an accident that it happened. And so then she plays with it throughout the issues. And then gradually they start to realize what to look for, you know, because once you know, the first time you miss something in camouflage, you don't know what to look. When you realize somebody's doing something, you then start looking for patterns and things to try and identify them. And I thought that was always quite an interesting thing, that they were blind to her almost. But it's funny when you look at the demon and some of the early sketches, I actually had it the wrong way round. Some of the early sketches, I think I had it the wrong way round. But, you know, you see in this one, you know, and this is what and it's funny because in the sketchbook, the dark demon was very prominent. You know, there's a couple of pages, I'll show you another one, where it was going to feature quite prominently, but we know from the story he doesn't come into it till later. But if you look at the demon, instead of it being like us, eyes at the top and a mouth, it's actually the opposite way round. And that's to do with how they connect with people, because they sort of envelop your head. So your eyes become the eyes of they connect with the eyes of the person. Mm-hmm. And then the mouth is above. So, you know, we haven't got room for where that's going to be. And it operates a bit differently. But I always quite like that. I was just seeing if I can find the figure, because I had a friend off of Instagram one day made me a figure, Did I ever show you guys it?
No, I've only ever seen the glam figures that you've had made. I didn't know you had a 6-eye figure.
So,
Or
but it's you know, it's, I mean, I think it's brilliant, and I remember receiving it, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. The head is, I think, slightly bigger than what I anticipated, but he made a 12-inch 6-eye figure that had 4 legs.
Oh,
you know, but I think where this is not quite right, it's like this has the mouth. No, the mouth's there, but it's not open. You know, and that's cool. It's got all this stuff that's going on, and you know, the Dark Demon doesn't have 4 legs, whereas the other ones do. You know, and that's handled. But he did such a good job with that. But I think naturally the head will be slimmer. It's thinner and taller.
Yeah.
But it was so cool, you know. And you know, it's fully articulated. I was blown away by this. I was like, "Wow, that's amazing!" and then I sent him one of the other figures, one of the figures we had made, you know, as a present.
Is that like one of those figures you can buy, like just the basic, and then you sculpt onto it?
Okay. Yeah. So basically, he did like an Action Man figure.
Yeah.
You know, and he found a way to build the extra legs on. I mean, that's quite an achievement to, you know, it's actually got four legs, but you know, there's a sword and everything. And yeah, and it's just, you know, because I always wanted to do like the Ashley Wood figures of Blam, so we do a 12-inch figure, and I was getting started. I never got there, but I want to do it at some point. But you know, like that was just, you know, that was amazing, you know. And you know, there's other people who, you know, they're fans, and I showed this last time. You know, somebody did a pop version, you know, which I think is just, you know, I should really have this out, you know, out over here.
That is so badass, man. Like that's killer to have fans like that, man. That is amazing.
That's what I love is people, you know, they get behind it. They want to do stuff with it. You know, different people have done art for it. It's just brilliant. it's just mad. But yeah, it's just so much is happening.
That's cool. Did you take pictures of that and put it like as back matter for?
What, that for the? No, I didn't for the.
No, okay.
I should really put them into the. I should really do a page of fan stuff.
Fan stuff.
You know what I mean? That could be. That's a great idea. That could be a really nice page in the book.
Yeah,
is to do.
And I'm sure all the people that are fans of the book, if you put their stuff in there, like just as a like thank you or whatever, I'm sure they'd really appreciate that too.
Yeah.
No, that's a great idea. No, that's pretty. Yeah, exactly. Because there's different drawings people have done over, you know, that contributed, and I think it's just so cool. I've got so many faves, you know. I need to pull them out and pull them together. Yeah, it's mad. But yeah, you know, you guys, you've seen already the issue 9 standard cover.
Oh yeah, I was wondering. I was going to make sure it was okay that we showed that.
Yeah, we can show that. I said, you know, I said on you know, on Kickstarter 128, you know, dial into the show. You can see, you know, they've seen a teaser. You can see the art, and it's still being worked on, but I think it's got quite a nice feel to it.
Yeah, and we're just talking about coffins before we went on air.
Yeah.
So.
And I like the green hue because there's so much blue and purple in the old one. So like this is like kind of like showing that like this is going to maybe be in a slightly different direction, like with the color tone. I kind of like
with the green.
Yeah, with the
because everything was like purple, reds, some yellow. So there's a shift in the color tone, like Johnny says.
It also kind of ties in with a big twist of issue 8, which is really cool. The green's a nice like kind of hint for people that haven't read it yet. Might be.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, exactly. There's that hidden sort of connection to 8. In terms of colors. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, originally when I was working on this, I didn't have a color in it, and I was working on stuff, and then I did something by accident, and it just popped. And I said to Gary Parkin, who's a Kickstarter, who's an artist, we're always bouncing off each other. I think since issue 1, we've always bounced off each other's work. And I said, "What do you think of the green?" And he said, "Yeah, go for it." It just adds something cool to it.
And I like the lighting. It's more dramatic than a lot of the other covers.
Yeah.
Like you see, it's like more of like the shadow, the highlights in the shadow. There's a much bigger contrast between the two. So I like the dramatic lighting. You see it in her face, the hair, the reflection off the whatever
her
that
skin glistening. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like the suit too. The latex on the suit it's really popping. I love it.
Yeah, and I wanted to. You've seen in the other covers before that, apart from the first one where you can read the full logo, and the second one I think as well. The others, the logo starts to get hidden, which is on purpose. At that point you knew what it is. But on this one, I quite like the idea the logo was interacting with that glass surface. And it's got that larger distortion. It's almost like it's caught the light, or it's magnified or something. And I thought that'd be quite interesting to play with.
Yeah.
But
I remember, like you were talking about the logo interacting with the cover. I remember the first Amazing Spider-Man book I ever bought was the Todd McFarlane cover, where he's punching the Incredible Hulk, and he's lifting up into the Amazing Spider-Man logo, and it's hitting it, and it's making it jumble and fall.
It's shadow.
Yeah, I love that. I love when covers when they interact with the title of the page. It's so much fun. Yeah.
That's it. Because what I know, there's people like, oh, you can't do this with a logo, but that you have fun with it. People, it's not like you're changing it. What you're saying is the interaction is a really cool part of it.
It is. It's fun, right?
Yeah.
Comics are supposed to be fun, people. Fucking, fuck them. It's your book. You do what you want with it, man. Just tell them to go fuck themselves. If you like it and you're having fun with it, fuck them.
Yeah,
but it's funny, right? So in this, and I was wondering, because when I'm working on it, I'm often working on it flipped up the other way. So I can work on because what I realize is when I'm painting somebody upside down, it looks really good, and then when I rotate it the other way just to check, sometimes the phase isn't quite right. So I keep, and people do that with mirroring. So I've rotated it to see, and it made me think of. Do you remember the film Life Force?
Yeah.
Which was like,
vampire movie, right?
Yeah, and I love that film. It's not great, but I love it. It's got head of SAS. Why would they be investigating space stuff? There's really real problems with this stuff. But that whole, they had the glass coffin, the glass sort of, they weren't coffins, but the glass sort of things. And I thought, actually, I quite liked that. I'm like, when I was working on it, I didn't realize I was going now. But the coffin, this is the second time there's been a coffin on the cover.
Yeah.
And it's about trying to, see if people are picking up on the connection, and it might, and as I say, once you reorder the story, the first 3 pages, you realize something about the character, and it's, and it depends on if people have forgotten or they go back to it, and you realize there's a reason why she is the way she is, because there's something that happened to her. But yeah, it's mad.
I like when you mentioned the thing about because it's upside down, where you turn it every once in a while because when you go to school, that's one of the things they teach you in school is take something like a picture, turn it upside down and draw it, because then because your brain automatically knows how to perceive things. So sometimes you draw just out of muscle memory, right? Your brain perceives it. So when you turn it upside down, it teaches your brain to draw from observation. Interpret what's there, not interpret what your brain believes it to be, right? So and that's like I remember when we were in school, that's one of the things we had to do is get a bunch of pictures, turn them upside and draw them all upside down. It's like an exercise on Well,
that's it. You follow what's there and not what your brain's telling you. The funny thing is whenever you draw in hands, right? Most people, they draw hands without any reference. You draw sausages, right? And they look awful. But really, the tones like here, you get that dynamic sort of thing. And you've got certain things that let you know it's a hand without having to do all the detail. It's the way the tones play. And yeah, but if you say, right, I'm going to draw it from memory, you end up drawing something that's not right at all. So sometimes you need that reference to go, yeah, it's that. Many times I'll be on the train and I'm drawing a bit and I'm like, right, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Or
it's not the right angle.
Trying to see it from another angle.
So do you take your phone and like taking a picture from a different angle because you can't quite see it from that angle properly? Yeah.
But this, I always remember, Todd, there's a great interview with Todd McFarlane on YouTube. I always forget who it is who does it, but it's when he's talking to this one guy, and it's such a good bit. It's going through his process, right? And he says, about the people who, I can draw eyes that wonky and hands that funky, and actually when you flip it, you realize your brain's been compensating the eyes in a slightly different place, and it's way too wide, But because you see it a certain way, your brain goes, no, it's fine, it's okay. No, it's not. you have to check this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so yeah, that's that's going to be the, and it still needs work on it. That's going to be the standard. I'm still going to do red covers. So I'm planning what the red cover will be.
So you're still, let's say the next series. Are you going to keep the same, let's say, method of operation? You'll have usually there was 3 covers, 3 variants.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4, and normally it's 3. Normally it's me doing the standard, the red,
the yellow, and the red. Yeah,
Bang Bez, and then Bang Bez does the yellows, and I've already got Bang Bez lined up to do that. So I briefed him yesterday on it, so he's going to get started. So when we launch, we'll have the yellow one as well. And they're playing with this new mode of glam. That's all I can, without spoiling it. That's what we're saying. Glam's in this new space. So what does that mean for her? And same as I've got Retro Gimmick working on the figure.
Oh yeah.
That ties into the end. And actually I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to try. We're going to try for a vinyl cape.
Okay.
Like the old traditional Kenner Star Wars, that ties to that outfit that you see at the end of 8. So,
or another fun thing that I've seen with the Mezcos, the ones I like to collect, the 112s, is it because that's what are the old school ones that were cheesy looking, super basic?
You're talking about the Mego pictures, right?
Migos, but Mezco, it's more detailed and stuff. But what they do is when there's a cape, they put wire. In the stitching. The tubing, they put wire, so you can, when you do action poses, you just bend the wire so the cape holds in positions. So so that's always pretty cool. Yeah. So
no, that'd be really good. I think if I managed to get a 12, like a 1/6 scale, like a 12-inch figure done, definitely that for making that, the stuff flow and things like that. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. But they do, and I'm really impressed because the 112s, that's a 112, and they put so much detail into the size, to the clothes and everything. It's impressive. It's one thing when you get the 1/6 or whatever. They're much bigger, so it's a little easier. So it's pretty impressive what they can do, even on the small 6-inch figures. 6-7-inch figures. So.
I said, I think we're going to refine the new figure slightly. We're going to change it so compared to the ones we've already done.
Because your figures are 3.5, 4 inches the height?
Yeah, they're the Star Wars sort of size.
Yeah, so it's 3.5,
right?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, 3 and a bit.
I'm pretty sure Star Wars were 3.25 inch.
Yeah, they're 3.25. So that was the 3rd figure.
I didn't notice. There's no action figures for this Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, but it's going to be.
Okay.
So what we're doing is we're working on it at the moment. So if we get one ready for before end of May, then I'll get it in.
You'll add it on.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be an add-on for people.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I was just thinking, I was like, I didn't see any action figures on the Kickstarter page. I was like, I was just thinking of it now. I was like, oh yeah.
No, we're working on it, and I did go slightly ahead with the with the Kickstarter.
And that's going to be the end of issue 8 version. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. And I've got, each one has a different name. And I know what her name is. Although, to be honest, it's not going to be that hard once you see it. Of course it is. But yeah.
But that is a beautiful, like, I love it when a story ends on a splash page like that.
Yeah, and the cool thing is because I'm on that page, like I got the client.
That's the only reason why it's cool, eh, Johnny?
No, not that. But no, I'm happy because I got a print of that beautiful page, dude. Like,
I'm just teasing you, man.
What size are those prints? Like, I'm literally getting that one.
Yeah, they're like A3. A3 size for us. But I mean, they're slightly smaller. But I like to have all the details and the crop thing like there, so it feels like a, like a production page.
Which page is it, Johnny, where you really get a close up of you with the patch? Is it the final splash one, or is it just before?
I'm really good. I'm really clear on that one. And then there's page 9, I think.
Yeah, it's
out of my car.
Yeah, that one. That's the one I'm thinking of when you first make your first appearance with the patch.
Telling the right raiders to attack.
Yeah. That's a good one too.
I've got to make sure I don't spoil anything, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good one. You should get that panel blown up. Boom. That's a cool one. That's a really cool one.
Yeah, I got that
one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, we purposely did that. I like who this is, and we can't say it, but who this person is when they get revealed later on. I think that's quite cool. But yeah, that bit with the with the car.
Yeah.
There.
And like that coloring, that post-apocalyptic color, and so Lucio Fulci, you know what I mean? Like, I love it. I love that Italian giallo color.
Yeah. And that's it. We spend most of the issue in sort of a reddy pink, which is what the Reds were alluding to. They're alluding to a change that was coming. And we've done red ever since issue 1 as the alternative. But I always wanted it to be sort of like the payoff, the thing that's going to be quite crazy. It's just, I just can't look like in a couple of weeks' time I'm going to have a version of the book in my hand, and I think
that's pretty exciting.
That's gonna be mad.
And it's going to be the same format as that Cali one you were saying, right?
Yeah, it's roughly. I think it's slightly. So if I do this, so that's the Carly one, and this is an A4 sheet, which is what the internal pages will be printed to. So the Carly one is slightly taller.
Okay.
And the hardbacks are always slightly taller anyway, but the paper size will be roughly A4, but it's thinner than A4, so it follows the US comic size, but it's just slightly smaller. So I think it's about 5, 8% smaller, something like that. But it should be a nice volume to hold.
It'll still be slightly oversized though, so that's good.
Yeah. I mean, you can see, if you put those side by side and go off the corners.
Yeah. So quite a bit. Quite a bit.
You got a gain of about 10, 15, 18%, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the European size. I'm thinking European graphic novel size. That's what it kind of looks like.
Yeah.
And then there's lots of behind the scenes stuff. I'll see if I can share again. Oh, it's still saying share screen. Oh no, if I do stop screen, then share again. Present, share screen. You think I'd be quicker at this, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's okay, man. It took me a long time to learn how to do it. Like, we had Travis Gibb on here, and he was like being really kind of patient with me, but I had a hard time learning how to share screen the first time on. So.
But there's like initial concept sketches of some of the characters. Ignore the pixelization. This is currently loading, and that was the original issue 1 cover idea I was going to have, and I thought, no, I need you the other way around. So we ended up doing that. But what I quite like about this, like the work we're doing here, the stuff we're showing is showing there's different aspects to how Blam and Glam started out. You know, she was originally a redhead, and you know, and there was things that, you know, you had like the demon head. I got started on quite early. But it took a while to get to her look, you know, and there's like different character sheets and then different looks. But what I quite like is in the book, we've got different things, like you can see, this is when I actually made a sculpted figure that, I mean, it was quite hard to replicate, to build, which is why I liked going into the actual figures we had made. So again, there's process stuff in here that means people can see how it's all going to work.
How did you decide on giving her platinum hair? Like that's kind of interesting that like she was originally a redhead. Like how did you decide that was the right idea for your character?
So I wanted something because like, you know, because a redhead was where I was going originally, and I thought, no, I'm still not there. I wanted something that gave you a clue about one aspect of glam.
Okay.
And because you now know at the end of 8 the aspect I'm talking about, that's, if you was to see it as I can't do it without giving it away.
Yeah, no, I got you. But so like if you kept her with red hair, she'd just been hot. But like with the platinum hair, like it actually feeds into the story, and
yeah,
you can be clever with it. I gotcha.
Yeah, and it's you know, it's a subtle thing. It's a thing where you go, oh, hang on, what is it? You know, what does it mean? Because it connects to some of the other characters who have been through a similar experience. You know, and we know by now there's 3 people. Hey, Cookie, we know there's 3 people who are free so far who've had similar experiences to her. You know, there's a bit in issue 6. It's not a spoiler, which is where she's at the top of Big Ben, inside Big Ben, and she has a moment where she has this happened before. You know, and that's where it starts to build those parallels. You know, there's all sorts of things that are hidden in the whole story about. A lot of it's British culture, a lot of it's British history, you know, things like that. But it's stuff that everyone sort of knows about and it taps into.
Right. There's some really neat British history that is in there, like with who she is historically, which is really neat because I actually, after I read issue 8, looked it up, and it was Women's Month, so there was actually articles about the person that, and it was a really neat time to kind of like learn about it. So yeah, this book kind of goes hard, you know what I mean? If you haven't read issue 8, really excited for you to get into it, because I think there are some people that are still getting there. So like, I don't want to give away the name or anything like that, but like, yeah, there's some neat stuff that gets brought up in issue 8. Like, yeah,
you know, there's things that have been, as I say, the stuff has been weaved in since the beginning, but it's how you arrive at it, you know. And you know, even like the cover of 8, you know, we've got behind her is Big Ben, is, you know, because when we say Big Ben, everyone thinks Big Ben is the tower. It's not. Big Ben is the bell, you know, and so that's, you know, behind here, it's that connection. You know, there's just so much that I'm weaving that I'm trying to work out how it, you know, and then I think in season 2, do I need to do a lot of explaining? And I realize actually you don't always need to do it. You can let people fill in the blanks. Like, think back to when we all first saw Star Wars, you know, and you hear Obi-Wan say, you know, he fought with your father in the Clone Wars. You go, oh, the Clone Wars, what's that going to be? This sounds amazing. And you're better not seeing it. That's like my opinion.
Yeah.
Because you picture it, you know, so much great, you know, you picture all sorts of things that are personal to you that it could, you know, that it could be. And I like that sort of aspect to story often. So you let your brain go crazy about what that actually is.
Yeah, straight up. So yeah, I agree with you, man. Like, I think that yeah, in book 2, like, should maybe learn a little bit more about the world. You know what I mean? We kind of get Glam. Maybe a little bit of Blam's backstory might be kind of cool. Seeing like him fall off the conveyor belt or something. Like,
I'm glad you say that, because that's where we've got something interesting coming with this story that's in the collected editions.
okay.
And once you know exactly what it is, then you got an amazing cat.
She just woke up. She's talking to me.
Mine. Whenever I'm on Teams calls, mine just there in front of me talking to the camera as well. Like
giving the old butt shot.
Yeah, exactly. The tail goes by like this.
Yeah,
but yeah, there'll be I think the story is going to be an interesting take, and I might, depending on how many pages we end up doing, I might offer it up as a separate issue for people who don't collect it. Do you know what I mean? Who don't go for the trick. I don't know. I have to see. It depends on how well it goes. But yeah, there's all sorts of things that would be quite interesting. I mean, season 2, I know where it's going to go. And I think there's a big thing we've not tapped into yet. So I'm quite excited to start exploring that.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that goes. I've also got where there's a big part where the story can go with the demons, and I don't know if I'm going to do it yet, because it might be a logical build on the story, or it might be it completely changes it. So I'm going to see how when I've formulated it. I need to bounce off a couple of people and go, is this, and it doesn't live or die by that, but I don't know if it's, it's funny. You're always creating stuff and you're testing it within your own head, which is quite hard.
Jonathan is asking, he loves the green on the cover for issue 9, and he's wondering if that might be a theme for the main covers for the new arc.
So I think it could potentially be.
Yeah, I like it. I think it fits because, like we said, the first arc was like blues and pinks and stuff and purples, and I think the green like really, really speaks to where the story's gone and probably is going to continue. Like,
like I think it might be it falls in similar colors, and everyone who's read it and without spoiling it kind of knows the connection with green, but because there is a heightened sense of something going on with the green here, it might be that it's greens, or it might be that it's the light that becomes the theme. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's the bit I want to try and play with. But it's a great question, Jay. And Jay's always there backing, trying to be first. I'm trying to
first.
Jay, did you get first at any point? I can't remember. I think you might have done.
Yeah.
But yeah, you let us know.
He came in second one time for sure. I know that.
Yeah.
I think he got that one of them great ink drawings you did, right, on the wheel.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because there was different things that people could win at one point. So next Saturday, a week's time, next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we've got MCN Comic Con.
Oh.
And I'm there, but not, I've not applied to be an artist or anything. So issue 4 or 5, I think you managed to get the first one of that. I've met up with one of my backers who's been here from the beginning, and we're going to go to Comic-Con on the same day. We're going to meet up and then go through, and I'm going to say hi to different people, and I'm looking forward to seeing and picking up stuff. I would like to try and do an artist ad at some point, but it's really hard to get into that one. But I didn't apply this year. But if anyone's going, because I know Jonathan, you're in the UK. I don't know if you're going Comic-Con, but if there's people going Comic-Con on a Saturday, I'll try and see them there as I walk around. It's going to be hard because there's going to be thousands and thousands of people. But,
so you're not going to table? You're just going to like bring a bunch of stuff and kind of sell it on the floor?
No, we'll do a pop-up stand.
Bring one of those briefcase tables, with the handle. Walk in there and be like, cool.
Would you like to buy some Blam And Glam? No, it's going to be more about seeing what other people are doing, saying hi to different people I know and different artists I follow.
Or you set up near the bathroom and pretend you're one of those people that like towels and stuff. You're like, no, I'm here for
something to read. Something to read,
exactly.
sir.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in North, of course. Yeah, no worries, no problem. That's the thing. I always look at dresses, and when it says UK, I go, yeah, it's UK, and I think it's, and then I forget Northern Ireland is is just a little bit across the way. England is weird. Like, not England. UK is just so weird. You know, I don't know. You guys did you ever watch Ted Lasso?
Yep.
You know, I love that program, but I love it in the first. Good. I think it's the first episode when he's saying about, or first or second episode, where he's saying about, you know, you got like 4 countries here, and he says, yeah. He goes, how's that work? You know, and you're like, my son is in another country studying science. You know, he's doing his degree now. And what we mean by that, I drive 5 hours across the country into Wales, which last time you go across the Prince of Wales Bridge, right? And we went from sunshine into there was cloud. You just cross the bridge into cloud. It's like I'd gone through one of these TV dramas, you know, when you go across a darkened bridge and you're into somewhere else and you might not get back again. Yeah. And then we come back across the bridge after dropping him off, and we came out of the cloud. It was just really, it was insane. But all in the same land. But
that's one thing that's cool about Europe is the train system's so practical, because everything's like, all the different countries are small, right? In mass. So like with the train, it's so easy to get to places, right? From one country to the next. Yeah. Whereas like here in North America, it's so vast. Everything's so far apart from each other that, you know.
Have you ever gone everywhere, didn't you?
Have you ever gone under the ocean to France, Richard, on that train?
Yeah. I've been on the Eurostar. Because we got 2. I went on the Eurostar, which is the passenger one, because we've also got the I don't know what it's the Channel Express or something, which is where you can drive your car on, and then you're sitting in your car on a train going at 100 miles an hour, whatever it is, under the thing. It's really cool when you go on the train and you do that. You know, it's super fast. I always remember. I keep confusing the experience I had on Eurostar, which to be honest was only once, and it was 2001. And I always mix it up with Mission Impossible, which is where they use the wrong trains. They don't run Eurostar trains. They run the French trains.
Okay.
And they do not work here. They had to invent a train that would work on its own special track that would work in France and the UK. But it's funny how they use the wrong train. But that's my imagined experience of when I remember going there. It's nothing like that. It's completely different. But yeah, it's good. But Europe has an amazing train system, like super affordable. You can go from one country to the other, and you might spend something like £30 or £40. Here, like on Monday, I've got to go to Manchester, which is like 2 hours away on the train, 6 hours, 5 hours away if I drive. And it's going to be something like 100 odd, 200 odd quid, you know. And you're like, but didn't we come up with the trains? I don't know, you know. Did we invent them? Why are we so expensive? Mad.
But that's why a lot of bands love to tour Europe, because it makes it easy, because there's so many major cities you can hit. Yeah, so close in proximity that you get a lot of turnout, and you don't have to drive like 12 hours to get to the next city for your next show, or 6 hours. Like you can do 2-3 hours and you're at your next, the next city where you're doing a gig, So yeah. Like in California, right, Johnny? How long does it take to drive across California?
Well, if you live in the Bay Area or in the LA area, you got trains, man. Like those areas are hooked up. But like if you don't have BART or the Muni and stuff like that, like dude, like if I lived in the middle of California in Modesto, and if I wanted to go to LA, that was still 9-hour drive.
9 hours, and that's a state. That's not even the country. That's just one state.
And then to get from LA to San Diego, which is at the bottom of the state still, like that's another 6 hours.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much Mexico after San Diego, though. And then, Yeah, dude, California is insane, but that's like driving downwards. It takes up it's like pretty much the whole side of the country. You know what I mean over there. So it is a big mofo. But I'm
So
pretty
you
sure
say,
Canada's got states that big though, right? Because you guys are
Yeah.
bigger than
Well,
America, and you guys only have 12
when
provinces and territories, right?
yeah, but let's say Montreal, Toronto's about 6 hours apart drive. To go see
Quebec?
and from Quebec to go see my mom in Prince Edward Island, that's a 12-hour drive. I have to drive 12 hours to go see my mom when I visit her. Yeah.
That's like a flying. That's a flying jobby, I'm telling you.
Yeah, exactly. It takes less time to fly to Europe than it does to drive to my.
Oh
But
yeah,
the plane, I could fly there. You're only in the air for about a half an hour.
like where I
But I
live
mean,
now.
it's so expensive.
When we drove to Florida, when I went to go work in Florida, man, we drove 24 hours straight, man.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, dude. And when I went to Washington from here, like, yeah, that was 3 days. Like, yeah, insane. Good times though, man. I love road trips. So as long as I'm not driving, as long as I'm not.
It's fun when you have other people to drive with you, then you can take a break. But when you have to drive the whole thing, it's like, because I don't love driving, so yeah.
I love driving, especially now we've got an automatic. I mean, guys in America, I think most of you drive. We always drove clutching gears, stickers as you guys call it. But and if you want a serious cool gear change when you're driving, that can be quite good. When you're stuck in traffic, you just want to be in a go-kart, which is the automatic, and it's like go stop.
Yeah. Well, all our cars are automatic now. My wife can't drive. She can't drive standard, so because all my vehicles up till I married were all standard, right?
Well, now we're gonna have to switch that around. I think that automatic should be called standard now, and they need to start calling stick shift unstandard. I don't know, because I don't know really too many people like my race car friends. I know some people that have like really fast little Hondas that they love driving stick because that way they can get the most out of it. But like everybody that just goes to work, they all just have automatic cars. You know what I mean?
That's good. But yeah, Jonathan, he can cross Northern Ireland in 90 minutes. That sounds about right.
90 minutes. That's not bad.
That's quite good, actually.
That's not bad, man. Hour and a half I can handle, no problem. Every day I could do that any day of the week. It's just anytime we plan to go somewhere, it's like it's going to be at least 3 hours minimum.
I bet you it's a pretty drive too, man. At least of what I've seen of Ireland's countryside, man.
And then when you go, because I always find it quite interesting to go back and see, because I've got the story in my head, how I've been working it. Did 1 to 8 go how you thought it'd go?
I didn't really have any expectations, man, to tell you the truth. Like I knew, because you kept having me read it early, so you wanted to know like if it was paced good, or like if this issue was gonna be flat or something like that. And like I was always surprised, man, and like that's what I like. I like a book that kind of keeps me on my toes. And like, no, I didn't think that I didn't really know what kind of story you were trying to tell. I knew like the basic outline of like the first 2 issues of Blam and Glam, and I just kind of read the journey. You know what I mean? Like I don't think I really thought too hard on like who she was going to end up being at the end, but like I was pleasantly surprised, and especially like I said, with the historical references, well as like the kind of supernatural ability that you kind of find out that she has as well.
Well, there is for the big reveal, there is the little. Is it issue 3 where you get the first little hint?
It's pretty early on where you kind of hint.
Yeah, I think it's in issue 3 where you get that little hint. So by the end, I was like, okay, yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah,
you kind of did give it away with the tree scene.
Yeah, the tree, and the tree happens twice, doesn't it? Happens.
Yeah, that's it.
And then in 5 or 6, isn't it?
Yeah. So then by the end, with the big reveal, you're like, okay, yeah, got it. You're like. It makes sense. So, because you go back to those scenes pretty quick after the reveal, right?
Yeah.
Because you make those, you don't make it subtle so that people won't catch it. You make it quite prevalent so that when you do reveal it, people are like, okay, yeah, they make the connections from issues before rather quickly. So that was pretty good.
Yeah, so that way, like, people aren't being like, well, where the hell did this come from? You know, type of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you make it too, like, you know, like, people just want to read and have fun, you know? So, you know, if you lose them on the way, then, I mean, you know, it's kind of...
One of my friends in the States, she's read, I think, 5 or 6 issues. And I remember I gave her the first 3 to read. And I said, how are you getting on? She went, I've no idea what's going on, but I love it. and she does film and she does all sorts of stuff. And it was like, and it's purposely that way to see if I can mess with your head, see if we can get people to start thinking ahead to what it can be.
Well, I mean, it makes sense too, right? Because she has amnesia. She doesn't remember.
Yeah.
So you're kind of putting the reader in the place of the character, right? So you can kind of understand where she's coming from, right? So you know, so it makes sense the way you approached it for that aspect. So you can relate with the character a little more as learning things as she learns things, right? And
another thing that impressed me, like, about this being your first comic and all, is the big cast that you have and like how many characters you like actually wrote for in this and kind of built up. Like, it's really intricate book, you know what I mean? And you don't waste any time with any of it. So like it's really impressive and really strong stuff, man, for a first outing. Like, blown away here, bro.
Thank you. I mean, you know, that because I did wonder how I could deal with a number of characters, and I think we slowly introduce them and they sort of phase out and come back at different points, don't they? So I think it's quite good that you're how you can compartmentalize them. One of my favorite ones is somebody who's a reader who paid to be in the comic, and it's the guy who did that for me.
Oh, cool.
And you know, he did that after, you know, he wanted, and he's one of the resistance people with the red. He's got it looks like it's a death, like a skull on his thing. He's not a skull rake, but he's got a bandana and it's on there, and he's got a red streak in his hair. He's really cool. And I remember, Johnny, Joe, with your ones, you know, I was saying to everyone who are in the resistance part, what's going to happen to your characters? You know, are you okay? And everyone was like, yeah, you know, the most gruesome, the better. You know, when we get it. And I said to him, you know, are you okay with this? And he said, yeah. And then I said, actually, do you mind if you're my wedge? You know, if you're the one guy who gets out unscathed. You know, and he said, yeah, cool. So then that way he had a reprise role in it's in 8, isn't it? Yeah, in 8. You know, he's on one of the pages, and I think it's a chance to some of these characters to carry on. You know, and try and work out where. I think the tricky part with season 2 is going to be all the overlaps that are going to happen. I know there's going to be 2 main overlaps, but I'm trying to work out how some other things happen so you don't end up losing a character. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the.
Yeah, where you like leave that story for too long, and then the readers are going and they kind of forget.
Yeah, like, who's this? You know? Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was 8 issues ago. Oh shit.
But it's like, you know, in The Walking Dead, it's like Morgan sort of turns out at the beginning, and then a couple of, you know, he might be a couple of seasons away, and then you're like, oh yeah, Morgan, I completely forgot about you, you know. And it's like, you know, I want to make sure you don't, you know, they have a natural time to come back in. That feels like could work, as opposed to, oh shit, I forgot to do something with you. which is sometimes some of the, you know, because I'm going back through the art, and part of me wants to change up some of the art, and a friend of mine said, don't. You know, it's already got its, you know, it's in its form. Don't start doing a Star Wars George Lucas thing. Just you know, just keep it as it is. The only thing I've done in issue 2 was always too dark in terms of the way it was printed. So I have gone in and made the lighting adjustments that I've done for issues 3 onwards, you know, just so that it should print a little bit more, so you can see a bit more of the detail. It doesn't become so heavy.
Yeah.
That was always a bugbear with me with that, and I thoroughly test each print now. I'll actually do 2 or 3 prints of the comics I'm working on before I commit to the final print. Just a way to make sure it looks the best it can be. But yeah, I mean, with a big collected edition, that's even scarier. Making sure you don't miss something in that, But yeah.
Yeah. So if people aren't aware, like we said, you have 25 days left of the campaign. So still plenty of time to back it. But, like we said, why put off tomorrow what you can back today?
Yeah, make this summer even hotter. Get Blam And Glam like hardcover. I mean, look at this thing. Like, you want this, man. Look at that.
Yeah, hot and hard,
I mean, that cover was something I debated over. As we say about the cast, I was going to put in lots and lots of people, and I thought, no, it just becomes a mess. And I thought, I just want 4 for the first season represented here.
Well, you know what I think it looks like? Metal Gear, man.
Metal Gear?
It's got Metal Gear, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. The original Metal Gear.
Also kind of reminds me of Brubaker era Captain America with little Stephen Epting looking.
Okay, yeah. But I just bet the layout, like with the characters with the blank background in a lot of spots with just a splash of something, and you have a couple characters on it. So I thought the layout, like the composition of it, definitely gave off.
Sugimoto? Your homie, the Metal Gear artist.
Oh yeah, like Yoji Shinkawa.
Shinkawa.
Yeah, Shinkawa's sort of style. Do you know what? I've got one of these books buried in here, which I really need to have more, access to. All my shelves had collapsed under the weight of the book, so I had to take the shelves out and stacked everything vertically. But Shinkawa's art's amazing. But also like the Ashley Wood stuff that he, when he was doing Metal Gear, and then which he does anyway. I think that rough, raw energy I quite like about the piece. But the one it makes me think of is I think it's almost the colours and the shape, and it must have been subconscious. Metal Gear NES, and I love this cover. This is the original Japanese. Let's see if I can share again. Window. Here. Oh, has it done it? That one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's the original. That's the original.
NES one, yeah.
Yeah. And what's funny is if you put that alongside, there's a photo of Kyle Reese from Terminator. That's what they've done. They've followed that same pose, holding the gun.
I used to see that ad in my comic books in the 80s, man, and I used to think that was a Terminator game. I thought that actually was in the ad.
I'm trying to find, because somebody had done a thing about that. Metal Gear Kyle Reese. Is that right? Kyle Reese. Here we go. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what's the ad going to be for? Yeah, accept all. That's pretty cool.
Quite this, yeah.
Except though you look at that and don't you also think Corporal Hicks with that headset on?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Aliens,
yeah. That's still the biggest crying shame is who was the director who was going to do
David Fincher, right?
No. So Fincher did Alien
3.
Neil Blomkamp was going to do.
Yeah, Blomkamp was going to do a start over of 3. So it was They Survived, and I was like, I'm in. And they're like, no, we're going to do Prometheus. Sorry, we'll see. We're going to do Prometheus. And I'm like, oh, dear God.
Oh, no, what happened is he made Chappie and nobody, like, wants to work with him anymore, man. Like,
I like Chappie, man.
that movie, like, fucking killed his career, dude. Like, I didn't...
Because District 9 is brilliant.
I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Chappie, but I didn't think it was that horrible. I thought the one that he did with Matt Damon was a little worse.
Why was it supposed to be so
Elysium.
bad?
I don't know. I thought Chappie was. I don't
right.
like.
I remember before Chappie came out. I don't know if it was Blomkamp and he was doing tests. He done something that was about that sort of robot in South Africa police force. And it was like a short, and I remember looking and going, this stuff looks fucking real. You know, there was people doing stuff in film effects, and this looked like it was, you know, on the telly. That's, you know, it looked like they'd filmed this stuff for real, and I thought that was amazing. I could never find that original test though. I keep searching for it, man.
I can't tell you why other people really didn't like Chappie, but like it was basically Short Circuit Part 2, but like a little bit more dramatic. But it was pretty much the same movie as Short Circuit Part 2, which I didn't like very much anyway. So like I was a much bigger. I don't know. Like I like robots. I think. And Chappie was so cute. He was like Johnny Five. I hate when they make the movies about like people just beating on the poor little robots and shit.
Yeah, and he was like a child, innocent, learning what you can and can't do.
Yeah, and I didn't like Der Anterwood, or how you say their name in it, man. Like,
which one?
Der Anterwood, or those South African rapper guys.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because, they're a couple in real life. The two,
the tweaker-looking guy and the little girl, yeah.
They have a kid together and everything.
I don't want to see what it looks like. It's probably terrifying. Looks like something from Tim Burton movie. They look like something from a Tim Burton movie.
Oh well, what are you gonna do? Different strokes for different folks, right?
I will look at Blam And Glam issue 9 again. Like, that's what I'm talking about.
But yeah, this, I mean, I now need to work out issue 9 properly, so we can do that in August.
Another thing, man, that sculpture you made, that's awesome. Is there any idea of like maybe getting that molded and seeing if you could Oh
no, the mold exists.
Okay,
I actually made the mold. The problem I found was where is the mold?
Because that thing is fantastic, man.
Yeah, it's nice.
The problem I found, I've got the mold here somewhere. The problem I found is when I sculpted it, it was great in clay, and then when I was casting it in plastic, I was using the wrong plastic. I didn't realize I was using the wrong plastic. Gort is the name.
Gort from The Earth Stood Still.
Yeah. I couldn't get it to cast properly, and also her legs were super wide, so she would stand up, and it just didn't work. You know, it just didn't work out. Somewhere I've got the cut up figure, which was then used to make the cast. You know, and actually I've got some of the. These are some of the cast tests. The body was okay. You know, it was done so you could assemble it. But the head was just not working. I just couldn't get it to go. But it turns out I've got the wrong plastic. You know, it needs to be the plastic that you use that my friend Retrogamic uses in the figure, because it's more sturdy. You know, this was quite lightweight, but you know, it was a good experience. But I think the one I'd like to do is like a proper 3D. You know, when you do it and you get it printed, but the resin print, like the not the jaggedy. You know, the really nice sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, I've got the mold somewhere in here, but I just, you know, and it was a good skill to learn. But yeah, I just find it, you know, it's easier when I work with other people who do that part.
So it's a work in progress. I got you.
Yeah. But I'd like to learn, because I can do a bit of 3D, but I'd like to learn the sculpting they do for 3D printing, you know, and then create I mean, I'd love to do an articulated, but to do the statue sort of sculpture thing, I think would be amazing.
Yeah. I would love to see something in physical form that actually looks like one of your drawings and is painted like that, but like in 3 dimensions. That would be so kind of looking.
That would be cool.
Because they do that already with some figures. Like there's a line of TMN Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they put like the lines like like the shading, animated shading. So they give like the lines from like in it and stuff, like for the facial details and stuff.
Oh yeah,
so,
they do that all the time with Japanese figures with the really high like they have them where they legitimately look like a frame from an anime until like you zoom in on them and start moving the figure, and they're incredible. So yeah, I'm pretty sure those are really expensive to make though, but it would be really neat to see like a Glam figure.
Yeah, because I know Figma's run. I was collecting their Persona 5 figures, and those were running like 100 to 150 Canadian a pop. So
yeah, I think with those, once you get to the point where you're going to make those sorts of things, you've got to start reaching out to China and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Getting them produced. But at that point, you're looking at massive orders. You're looking at 4,000 pieces.
Don't go with the same company Temu uses.
Was that Timo? Really?
That's like a knockoff site where you could get anything that's a knockoff of anything else, and they have like action figures. They have everything on that site. There's knockoff.
Off of Temu. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a knock. Pat
she loves it.
I was like, go to the dollar store. It's like it's basically an online dollar, like a rip-off dollar store. Like if you want something,
the action figures aren't bootleg though, man. Like I actually got a Hellboy figure off of there for and like it's a Hellboy 2 from the movie. It just was an overstock, and like
was it? Okay.
Yeah, so it's like it's a legit like unless it's a really good bootleg, because like
I mean, it's one of the things where I think if I mean,
Pat loves Temu anyway.
You get it made out somewhere, and then they just start selling it themselves, and you'd be like, well, that's going to defeat them.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I've heard of people that get their comics printed in like China, and all of a sudden you see like black market where because they always do. How does it work? It was explained that they do an overrun in case there's damages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So whenever a print goes well, they have these overruns that, because if you order 500, they're going to send you 500. They're not going to send you the overruns. So what people were doing in China were selling the overruns before the books were even shipped to the creators. They're like, my book's already on sale and like fucking these sites in China, It's like...
I know, it's mad.
Yeah.
Fucking... That's
it. But it is cheaper, I guess, even with the freight and the everything to get it across. I guess it's still cheaper to print through.
I think it's just the amount of time it takes, because you got to set it up, print it.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
You get a test burn back. I know some of our friends who create books. They've gone that way. Like who worked on Tales to Enlighten. And it's months and months of waiting for it to come. Be shipped through.
Axe Builder John, I think it took Nick close to 6 months for him to get all his books. Close to that. I know someone else, what's his name? Ryan Brown. I don't think he's not doing China anymore. He's had too many issues.
Yeah,
he did.
He had a big problem with that. God Hates Astronauts.
Both, and his curse words. Both he had.
Okay.
Yeah, both were just horrendous experience. He's like, that's it. I'm not printing overseas anymore. He's like, he's done with it. He said.
Well, he was doing like these huge omnibuses, though. I mean, like,
of all his work,
those got to be kind of hard to print. Like, I don't know.
Well, it's like they get to port, then they'd sit at port. He's like, I got a message saying they're at port. They've been sitting in the port for a month. Like it's just the logistics of it all. Like. Anyway, he said it was an incredibly frustrating experience, and but other people have good experiences, so Nick's wasn't bad. He just said it was really long. Like you said, it's you just got to be patient, right?
I mean, the people I print with, it's usually a week if you're doing the digital printing stuff, and if you go into LIFO, which is when you're talking in the 800s upwards runs, into your thousands. That's a couple of days later, but it's that's still pretty damn quick. And I'm quite, and it means the books are a bit more expensive than what you'd expect, but that's because we're doing low print runs.
Yeah. And I think overseas too, what makes it long is if you get proofs, they have to mail them to you overseas, right? So then
and if it's wrong, you gotta go back.
Yeah, then if it's wrong, yeah, exactly. So just the back and forth of proofs is probably just a lot of time wasted too,
Yeah.
Anyway, but I mean, profit margins sometimes, especially like you said on big orders like that, if the profit margin is there, like
the more copies we print of this, it makes it a bit more cheaper, which is why we're saying if we hit stretch goals, we'll put more pages in, we'll put more content in. And I think that's one way to make it, fair, so then you get more out of it the more people put into it.
So Richard, do you have a favorite issue that you've written of Blam and Glam?
I think 3 was probably my favorite to write, because it's when the story really explodes into action. When it's about getting on the train and what those tentacle things really do, and there's a whole action sequences I loved with that, and also that ties into where I used to work. Because I used to work in Paddington, so there's a bit in 2 where they smash through the doors of a place, and that's a well-known arch in Paddington that leads down to like a car park. There's like car park rentals. It's alongside the platform of trains, and so that set up 3, and then 3 was around the area, and which, as we know, ties into one of the characters, Brunny, because Paddington is it's a big thing with trains. I really enjoyed 3. I thought 8 was just a chance to just totally cut loose, and reveal more stuff, and have the big epic sort of battles.
Yeah.
It's between 3 and 8. What about you? What's your favorite, Johnny and Joe?
Before we get to that, like, how many splashes did you do for issue 8, man? There's quite a few gorgeous ones. I don't know if how many you can show, but like
well, there's that one, which is the first one, and that's probably my favorite page. Probably my favorite single page. I don't know if we can show the other splashes because it might. I mean, I'll do it quickly. I'm not doing the end one. That's my favorite splash.
Yeah, man. Put it back
and
up.
That's because that thing that happens with that thing that happens with this is something that I had an idea for that, and it was actually for an ad. It was for an ad 12 years ago for a music radio station, and I wanted to do something with technology that was coming together and building something, and it never happened. It was like a concept, it never got far. And then I just kept it in my mind and went, I want to do something with that. And originally the machines that we come across in 1 and and all the issues would have had that tech, but I think I thought that finally having a chance to bring that element together in that was a real dream come true for me. Jay's always so kind. Thank you.
I wouldn't say it's expensive. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, like, he doesn't use backer kit. Like, Richard keeps his campaigns really, really good. You know what I mean? Like, he's down to earth guy, and yeah, and if I'd have to think of my favorite issue, I'm gonna say this to be mean, and it's not true. It's issue 6 because I get to see Joe die. I think probably man, I like the whole kind of middle part, like you said, like when they're on the train and you're really getting to know like Benny and Jet and Brinny and that whole
yeah.
I really like that whole section of the book. and then and then you that the fight that leads up to it. So yeah, I'd have to say maybe 3 through 6. You know what I mean? Like I somewhere so I guess I'll say issue 5 is my favorite, just to call one in the middle.
Yeah.
That's it.
Nice, Joe.
I have to go with the final issue, issue 8. It just felt like you had a lot of fun. You let loose. Just the colors just pop. Like you said, the introduction of what are they called? The Raiders?
Oh, the skull rates. Yeah,
the skull rates. Yeah. With the logo, and then with the patch, the car, and just like Johnny was saying, just the colors, the visuals, the giallo like vibe to it. It's just great. I loved it, and it has the extra pages, so you get a little extra out of it, right? And I think that allowed you to do more splash pages because you had the extra pages.
Yeah.
So it really allowed you to be more freedom visually because you put those extra pages in there, which I think just shines through that issue. So I think that was a great choice to put the extra pages, because it really allowed you to put those splash pages in there and flex your visual muscles a little bit more.
Do you know what I'm looking at? And I think it's the perception is there's more splash pages. I think there's still only one big spread and the front and end page.
Mm-hmm.
But there are bigger panels on a lot of
bigger
the pages.
panels. Well, that's
yeah. I think you're right. I think that because you've got more, like one of my favorite pages and one of my friend's favorite pages is that one. This one. And it's because the style's going in. I can't see it because of the light. But the style is starting to take on board something a little bit. Like I'm embracing there's a quirkiness to it. This was the guy I was telling you about, the one who's my wedge.
Okay, yeah.
It was like you're still alive, which is cool. But
and I mean, I like the issues too, like that I was in with L. It was just fun. I think just the fact that I was in the panels with L just made it that much more fun. So yeah. So yeah. I think that's issue 6, right, Johnny?
I think you're in 4 and 6, right? Or
4 and 6.
4 and 6, but 6.
But
is
I think 6 is the big, the big one where.
Yeah. It's funny because when I was coming up with the story, we go out of London. We head out. We head out west. And then we sort of stop and then come back. But we have to come out to meet different pockets of people. Yeah. And then I think that's going to be a thing that we talk about, in season 2, where what these pockets of people are and what this craziness is. Why is there sand in a desert in the middle of England, which is rural green? This is something that's going to come up in 2. But
I think we can answer that here. We'll not answer it because we don't want to spoil it, but I mean,
it's a pandemic. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's going to turn green again pretty soon. Eventually, anyway, we'll see.
Yeah,
maybe not. We don't know. We don't know it. We don't know what you have planned, but I mean, it's a possibility.
Yeah. No, that's cool. You just love showing that cover, didn't you?
The green, man. Yeah, man.
Give people their money's worth.
I promised there was going to be like a little, surprise for people that watch the episode. So I want to make sure they see it. You know what I mean?
Pop it in. Yeah. Someone jumps in late, watches late, got here, So, yeah.
I want them to know that, like, the cover for issue 9 is like pretty prominent through the last half of the episode. So yeah, like. It's gorgeous, pretty gorgeous, and that it's right around the corner. Like Richard's a madman; he's going right back to it. You said August?
August.
Probably.
I think August is when we'll launch it, and then I need to get out. Like whenever I write a lot of this stuff, is more in my head when I'm out walking the dog. So there's going to be lots of dog walking the next couple of weekends.
Yeah.
Is this not going to be as long, or are you going to kind of do shorter arcs from here?
Oh no, it'll be 8. I think he'll be 8.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
so this is the creative process that your dog loves, right? This is the part of the creative process that your dog's like, all right, he's starting to work out the story, he's trying to script it. That means I get to go for longer walks.
He gets the leash and he's like,
yeah,
let's go.
It's usually like we're walking the big farmer's field, so she's off lead. She can never run around.
You have to put your dog in it, man.
Yeah.
Well, she was in. I don't think the sketch ever made it. There's a sketch of her as a giant dog, and Clam is saying hello to her, like she's almost like in the sky. But I don't think that ever made it to the sketchbook. But yeah, I did do a drawing. I'm looking back through. You know, it's funny trying to remember what made it and what didn't. But yeah, she might make it in there. I mean, to be honest, we haven't seen what the cat's all about yet. So, and I've sort of been toying with what I'm going to do with the cat. You know, we sort of glimpse the cat once in a while, but yeah, these you know, the Lola, who's my Frenchie, might make it to the comic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Or someone, I was gonna say the cat could turn into a living weapon, you know. Like, but I saw someone made a viral video where they grabbed their cat and they were like doing, and they put like the shooting from the butt, and they were doing that on a viral video. So, I just pick up the cat and start shooting from its butt. I have to try to find that video. It was too fucking funny. Because some people are pretty good with those viral videos, where they put like effects into it. Yeah, like you see a lot of those ones that do like knockouts, like UFC knockouts and stuff, where they fall into like water or through the mat or into a coffin, you know, for the knockouts. Some people are pretty good with that stuff. Yeah.
That's it. She might come to a story near you, you know. So you never know. She might make it into season 2.
There we go. Awesome. Yeah. So another 8 issues. So then it'll be 16 total for the whole arc.
And then it will either be I stop and I do something else.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it feels like it needs to go into a continuation season, or if it could go instead into a prequel, which is completely different story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not about the demons and the invasion. It's more about what she did before everything happened. Which is a very different. That's a totally not suitable for work. You know, that's a very different book. That's probably more like your what's Stefan? What's Sunstone? That's probably more like a Sunstone. Which is a whole other ball game. But I don't know if I'm going to do that. You know, but we'll see. We'll see how 9 to 16 goes.
And are you still kind of toying with the idea of optioning it, or you know, kind of shopping it, because you were kind of thinking about here and there?
I'd send it to Image, and I sent it to Image about 6 weeks ago, and they say if you don't hear back within a month, you have to consider this a no. So the problem is they don't actually send you a confirmation email to say they've received your, you know, even if it said we've got it, you know, at least you know you've received it, you know. But yeah, I think it's a no.
Image are really bad with notifying people anything. They don't tell you when it's the last issue of a book. You'd be like, 7, issue 7, like, and then issue 8 never fucking comes, dude. Like, they don't talk, like, this book's canceled. They don't, like, they're horrible with shit like that. So yeah, so they're even like that with their talent. I don't know. I hear that, like, if you do get even a rejection, like, you should feel very honored
that they bothered to send a rejection. Yeah.
Yes, like, that's, I don't know.
Which actually means someone actually opened the file and looked at it. Yeah.
Like I sent them I carefully wrote a 2-page, like a 1-page, you know, sort of, this is the project, you know, it's all done, you know, and then wrote I then took each issue and turned it into one paragraph on one page. Like, so they had all 8 things in the paragraph, and then even said where I think 2's going. And then said, here's the cover art. So here's an image that had all the cover art in. And by the way, here's all 8 issues to download if you want to read them. But you don't know what's happened. You don't know if they've done it, or you don't know if or if they just went, no, I'm not going to look at that. I don't know. But to be honest, I always said it'd be a punt to see if somebody would take it or not. But I'm not too fussed by other people taking on, because I don't know how the numbers work out anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And I quite and having full control, doing my own Kickstarter sort of works for me at the moment. So you never know, it might take off even more and somebody might come in afterwards. But one Kickstarter backer has been in touch saying they'd like to release some stuff in the US, which is quite interesting, and it's something to consider. But at the moment, I want to see how well it does through my own channels, and see.
Okay.
But it's brilliant they reached out, and it might be it's something that does happen. But I don't know anything about the details. It was just more they said we really like stuff, and maybe we can chat, and it might happen. But at the moment, I think there's something about having total end-to-end control. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Plus,
like with your Kickstarters, the way like they sell. I mean, I was looking at this one before we did this show, and like you are like hundreds of times over your goal. And I think that you might be actually making better money self-publishing it through Kickstarter than you could probably make. That's what James Ricard was telling us too about like how he runs his books. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he said that like I don't know. He's saying that it probably wouldn't be as lucrative at trying to run it through like one of the labels. So
yeah, it depends on the labels too, right? I mean, like you hear a lot of issues with people with publishers and expectations, and so
because I want someone who really pushes it hard. They do all the marketing beyond what I do, and I've heard that some publishers you end up doing it all yourself.
Yeah, well, I think that's the problem with smaller publishers. They just don't have the manpower, the resources to do proper advertising for their books. Because the smaller publishers, right, they probably have a crew of 3, 4, 5, maybe 12 people at most working at the publisher to try to, get everything done. So, I could see.
Another thing that people don't think of is Image isn't just Image. Like I think that you also could submit it to like other
you
people.
You go Skybound, you go Top Cow.
Yeah, you can actually like get at Rick Remender because he's actually publishing other people's stuff and like send it to Giant Reactor or send it to Ashley Woods. What's his called? ZVTV? Something like that?
ZV or V8 or I don't know.
It was 7471 Publishing or something. 7471. Scissor G was his thing, but it's now 771 or 7471.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, because I saw Kirkman talk about this Kirkman is Skybound, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he says he said he's not allowed to offer the same deal that Image does. And to be honest, if you're a sub-publisher, if you're your own publisher on Image platform, you need to be able to make money anyway. So you can't offer the exact same thing as what Image has got. So you can kind of see how it works. Yeah. I think it's more like the editorial control. Like this is me going, and it's good to have people who can feed in stuff, but it's me going, what happens if I do it? And I think that's where that experience we talked about early on, where I had a retailer somewhere else, and I was doing 100 copies with a bespoke cover for them, and they wanted to do the whole lot, and we stopped at 2 because the sales weren't very good for them, which I'm sorry about. It's they're selling it on their own thing. And I think Kickstarter is where the audience are. So I don't think it necessarily works. But they had an opinion about the comic. And I go, look, you can have an opinion about your cover, but it's not the comic. Yeah. The comic is the craziness I'm going to do. Because otherwise, I won't do it. Somebody else can create their own.
Doesn't have a hard time selling. You know what I mean? Let's just be honest.
But
where
yeah, I mean, when we first started, as I say, I think we were talking around issue 3 or 2, issue 2 or 3.
Yeah, it was.
when we
I
first
think it
started
was
talking.
right before you were doing issue 3 because I got on. Maybe 3 was out and like it was right before 4. I know I got involved with you after issue 2 though. That's when I that was the first Kickstarter I backed.
Yeah. But it's like, back then, I couldn't imagine where it'd be now, and I think even each time I can't imagine where it'll be. So, yeah, it's good. It's just, it's mind blowing that it actually is working,
Yeah, because you do quite well on your Kickstarters. Like, I mean, Johnny and I have backed a lot of Kickstarters, and yours actually funds like for someone that's not a no name, like let's say someone who works for like Image or regularly puts out books for Image and stuff. Your numbers are pretty good. Like, I mean,
I'm surprised, like it works.
And for a couple of campaigns, it completely doubled in size with each one. That's impressive, man. Like,
each time it was growing in that way, and I think some of it is the rewards. Like, there's some rewards are where it does jump up, but it's about people. Loads of rewards where it jumps up is where people get an original piece of art. And I think that's when that's which is quite cool. I mean, what's funny is I've got a piece on here, which I won't fully show. It's one of the backers, but one of the backers wants me to paint not Blam and Glam, but it's a portrait. It's of someone they know, and to have someone say, "I want you to paint a portrait for me of of my partner or of my friend," or I just think it's amazing because I'm not really. I learned how to paint portraits, which is how got me to painting comics. But that's not what I'm known for. So it's amazing that somebody wants that style. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which is mad.
You're good at it, man. Like, I always go back to when you painted my cat for me when she passed away, and like.
So this would be what, your 10th Kickstarter?
Yeah.
So how do you find it just as grueling, or you've developed a process that makes it easier? How do you find it? Because you fulfill everything yourself, right? You don't use a company or anything.
Yeah, the hardest, I think the hardest thing is once you've done it, like everything comes in, like you have to remember I've got in all the packaging. And when we say packaging, it's not just there's a box. We've got in the boards, the bags, everything's bagged, boarded, things are signed, things are.
You beautifully package everything that you send out. It is so secure. It is wrapped up in cardboard. It is taped. Like, you are a surgeon at securing packages, man. It is gorgeous.
I mean, I think the boxes I've got are quite good. The only thing I found on issue 8 was there were people buying sets of all 8, and there's something I'm now doing with the ones I'm sending out, which makes it even more secure. And there's extra cushioning in the box, but if an issue slips, and that may cause like a corner damage or something. So what I'm now doing is, if it's like a number of comics, they're together they're all bagged and boarded individually to give them extra strength and rigidity. I'm then putting boards on the outside and then using masking tape to secure it, which I was doing. But what I found was that could also slip within the package. So before I close the flaps, I'll actually tape the cardboard to the cardboard.
Okay,
so that when it's compressed and then sealed up, it won't shift into the areas where it can, so it's always good learning, but it's just making sure that those things don't happen.
So when you see the shipping on Richard's Kickstarters, man, you know that you're getting your money's worth out of it. He's not just throwing the damn thing in an envelope like some Kickstarter guys do, man. I mean, he packages the shit out of these things, man.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is you want it to arrive in the best possible condition. And on the deluxe, I had a UK guy say, "I've just backed. So I just want to know what wondering why the UK postage is so expensive." And it was a really good question, because what I've said is that I'm going to put these hardback versions in double boxing. It's the weight. It is the weight. The biggest thing is the weight. You can, and then I'm doing what they call special delivery here, which is the next working day. Guaranteed it arrives.
Mhm.
And I've said on some of the UK backers, if you want it, if you don't want it special delivery, I can send it still 24-hour, 48, and then I'll happily refund them a fiver, against them. But I just want it to arrive in the best possible way.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, I don't know why it's expensive coming from the US to Britain, but going back the other way, everything's quite affordable, which is why we managed to get the prices not as bad. Like 8 weighs a lot more than one of the other comics, and it's because it's got an extra 50% in there.
Yeah, getting stuff from England is about $7 cheaper than getting it from Canada, which is insane to me.
It probably has to do with like border laws that we have, like trade agreements between countries to try to promote buying within your own country. So, all right, let's put like duties and shipping and everything higher to discourage people from ordering from the States. Just order it from Canada. But the problem with that, when that happens, is a lot of products aren't offered here, so you have to order it from the States. So then you're like, I always try to find stuff here, but sometimes you just don't have a choice. Some places, like you have to order it from the States or from England or from somewhere else, and then you get nailed with the shipping. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But even domestically here, it's pretty expensive. So.
But yeah, on your it's everything's fulfilled here, and I think the hardest bit is I always find the hardest bit is waiting for the stuff to come back from the printers, because and this is something I'm going to end up changing, is the back of the books is black, and what happens is some of the stuff gets scratched, and and not so much on the standard editions, because I get I get like 1,000 made of those, so I end up with a lot of spares. But on the special covers, it just needs one little knock or one little scratch or one little line, and you go, that's ruined. I can't send that out because it's a a more expensive book.
Yeah.
And they're saying that actually the best way to do it is to laminate it. And I mean, I'm just going to show. So this was 7, and you only need to get the odd line or knock. See that?
Yeah.
And then that's a little bit ruined. But they say you can do it laminated. But the problem is lamination. You can't actually see it here. The lamination has a different feel to it. It's shinier.
Yeah.
And then you can't sign it. It does protect it a lot more, but I don't think you can sign it very well. And then it doesn't feel like a comic anymore.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a trade-off.
You could probably sign it, but you'd have to use one of those paint pens.
Yeah. So and I'm thinking, but what I think I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cheat the backs. I'm not going to go black anymore, because we're now in season 2. I'm going to do something else, and I think I'm going to do a pattern or a texture. So then that way, if there's a little bit of a problem, it's not so noticeable. It's not so much of a if there's a major thing, that book gets rejected and it doesn't go out. But if it's like the odd little thing, if it's in amongst that visual, I think that's what I'm going to do. And that will help. Yeah. I've just got to work out what the pattern is. I think it's got to be something painted.
And have you stuck with the same printers the whole way, or
yeah? I mean, they're really good. They're the prices are good. Sometimes I have to send stuff back. I have to say to them, this has come out this way, and they are really good at getting replaced, and the quality is good.
That's good.
And I stick with them. I think there's, and also the consistency I like, that the stuff works. The only thing I wasn't happy with was when we did 1 and 2. Yeah, I know it's $40 to $50. I know exactly, and you pay $25 for a comic, and then it's $40 to $50 to ship it, and you're like, no. Yeah. Unless you can find someone else that was ordering it, and then you can ship them together. But no, sorry, I was saying that on 1 and 2, I don't know. Do you guys remember 1 and 2 isn't a shiny cover, isn't a gloss cover. It's a thicker, uncoated.
Yeah, it was almost like a cardboard stock feeling cover. Yeah, stock, not cardboard stock.
And that's where it was a little bit of an error in terms of what we printed. So we printed 2,000 of the standard covers, and that's what they run as LIFO, which gives you that higher quality. It's not digital print. It's that really lovely separation, which means the colors are super rich. And I said to him, can you run the whole LIFO? Because the internals are the same, but you run a different cover on. And they said, we don't normally do it because they're done with different sources. But they said, we'll try it. And unfortunately, I had 5 covers, and the white cover is the thicker uncoated stock, so you can draw on it. And they couldn't tell the machine to do all gloss and then do that one. I'd have preferred if they'd run it all gloss and then just replaced the ones I draw on, because there's very few, there was like, I don't know, 30 or 40 of those. Yeah. But they run them all on that stock, and I was like, I wish you'd have asked me, because I'd have said print it on the glossy stock. And then I could always pay the white ones again. But that's why the first one was on that stock, and I went again with the second one, and then I was like, no, it's not as good. And that's why I switched halfway through. And that's the only thing I wish I'd done differently, was to have gone, don't try and get it all done at the same time. Try and, do it how I want it. But it's a learning curve, isn't it? You always learn for this stuff.
Yeah. And that's why I'm glad that you're not going to be messing with your art, because I like seeing an artist grow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think when they go back and redo their books, it's like I get the, like, oh, I can do it better now, but like, you weren't you now, you were you then, and I want to see what you did.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, it's interesting to me, you know what I mean, to see that, like, you used to draw that leg too wide, you know what I mean, and you learned how to, it's encouraging as an artist to see that kind of stuff, in my opinion. And like, I like the idea of keeping it original, you know what I mean? I'm really happy you're planning to do that.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think otherwise you end up, when do you stop? You go back and you could rework all this stuff. And I think actually I prefer to get it out so that people can read it, and then see what I can improve on 9 and 10 and 11, and see how they can go.
Straight up, man.
Yeah.
Damn, dude, it's got to be getting late for you, huh, Richard? Like,
yeah, cool.
1 o'clock. 1 o'clock in the morning.
We're going for like 2 hours. We're keeping you up, but like, damn, dude, like we've been saying, the hardcover, collected edition, and trade paperback are on sale right now on Kickstarter. We got the links in the description and in the chat. Like, I don't think it's too high up. Should I repost it though?
Yeah, why not? I mean, people will catch it on the replay in the chats, or throw it in there one last time just in case they came in later.
As of this recording, there's 25 days to go. You got some time, but like we've been saying, don't procrastinate too much, man, because this is something you're gonna want, man.
And you don't have an excuse, right? Tax season came, so if you got a refund, you got a little extra scratch to splurge on something fun. So, use that income tax return to get the hardcover deluxe edition of Blam And Glam, man.
Yeah. I mean, if not for anything, like there's going to be an extra story in it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
The more people back, the more extra pages of story that that he plans on putting maybe back in there if enough people order. So
yeah, please, it's going to a proper, like, Richard's so cool. Like, honestly, like I've met a lot of Kickstarter people and stuff, and like, oh man, like, there's a reason why he comes on so often. You know what I mean? Like, he's genuine.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Each time it's great to catch up with you both. you know. And I think we need to do another reader comic.
Oh, definitely.
Like,
that's why I was wondering what your favorite issue was, because me and Joe kind of have an idea for a new format, and like we're gonna do like pick a guy's favorite issue, and we're gonna kind of do a behind the scenes like go panel by panel kind of reading of it, you know, kind of and we were planning on maybe doing one of those with you, one of the first ones, and like maybe we'll do issue 3 of Blam and Glam, and so
that'd be great.
That's kind of a future plan that we were working on. So but like and we got we got nothing that we can announce right now, but like we're gonna have a pretty exciting summer, man. Joe has been working above and beyond. Some pretty rad
I got on late, so I wasn't able to talk to you about another one, but there's another person that jumped on board. So
nothing we're gonna announce yet, but like it's gonna be a pretty exciting summer. We're gonna have some cool folks on. So like this is
I'll put a schedule together for June, probably by the end of next weekend maybe, and we'll post it so you can see what we have coming. But we're locking down June and July, and it's looking pretty good. We have some creators coming on that'll be pretty fun. And I think a lot of people will be interested in the people that we got coming on.
Returning too.
Bringing back some segments we haven't had for a while too. You know, I've been, it's the winter months. You know, I'm coming out of hibernation, so I'm getting back to work a little more diligently for the scheduling. So you know how it goes. You know, Johnny had some stuff going on too, so we kind of took the couple months easy there. We just kind of went easy, smooth, autopilot. But June and July should be pretty jam-packed, fun episodes lined up.
We got so much stuff that we've read and got like backlogged for Big Tuesdays that like we just got ready to do, but like we haven't actually had time to like actually do the episodes because we've been kind of busy. But we got future superheroes, Batman Beyond, Spider-Man 2099. We got X Factor. We got
the cracking of the slab.
So we got Big Tuesdays up the wazoo coming. We got Luther Strode episode maybe in the near future. We got Sunday Spank's gonna be coming back. Like we're
next. Cage Love's coming back.
Cage Love's coming back. So those are the few things we can say. But like. But we got some really neat stuff planned too that like we'll be announcing in the near future. But but like this is all about Richard, his campaign, and like once again, go back it. Like if you haven't yet, it's so pretty. You know what I mean? And Richard's going places, man. Like you're gonna want this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Prove you were there, that you heard him first. You know what I mean? Get those cool guys.
Have you ever done? You do prints, but have you ever done posters?
Yeah, so there's A3. Yeah, we've done A3 Giclée posters, and in each issue it's like a dark poster that has.
What are the dimensions of that?
They're A3, so they're this size.
Probably concert poster size.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's pretty good size.
But what I might do is, and again, it's the same print as the pages you've had of yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? But they're full bleed and it's got that texture on it. But what I might end up doing is they're a bit more expensive. I might get them printed like a bit more glossy, you know. And then it makes them more affordable. To be honest, I need to work out what I'm going to do with posters for the next one anyway. But there's stuff we can get.
Cool.
I'm wondering whether to offer up larger pages for people, but I don't know. I think you've got to read it first to see which one you want.
Yeah. Cool, man. So
thanks for
Richard, man. Yeah, I was gonna say thanks for coming on. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. Like Johnny said, people go click that back his book. I mean, it's beautiful.
And if you don't follow him on Instagram, especially there, because like that's where you get his art like pretty raw, and you get to see like his process and stuff, and get updates for if 9 is running ahead of schedule or anything like that. You know what I mean? That'll probably be the first place where you hear and learn about Blam and Glam in the future. So get on. If you don't follow Richard, definitely get on that. And he's really easy to find. There's Morgo Comics, there's Blam and Glam, and there's Richard A. Morgan. Those are like his three
handles.
files. Yeah.
Come say hi. Thanks, boys. Great to see you again.
All righty, everybody. Have a happy week.